Sit or do you want me to stand? Okay, good. I'm just afraid that I might go to sleep if you don't. It's that time of the afternoon. Let me stand. Let me stand. No, I'll stay in place. So this session is an interesting mix actually. First of all, we are short of speakers, which should help us make up some time because I know we are running almost an hour late. The second thing is that there are three companies on this panel which are of very diverse ages, and they're in very diverse areas. They come from very different kind of businesses, business models, products that they handle, and so on. So I think it should be interesting if you can just keep your eyes open for the next half an hour, 45 minutes. Just a quick check on the room. How many retailers in the room? Okay. How many brands in the room, not retailers? About the same number. How many franchisees? How many entrepreneurs of any sort? Okay, good. Yeah, because all of these guys are entrepreneurs, so I think then that's the connect you have with them, even if you don't, even if you're not from retail per se. Just a quick introduction to myself. I run a consulting firm called Third Eyesight, which focuses on the retail and consumer product sector. I've spent now 27 years in the sector, too long. I also have another firm which works with startups, which is called PVC Partners. The consulting firm is called Third Eyesight. And that gives me a foot in both worlds. In consulting, we tend to work with more established businesses. In the other firm, we work with startups which are really early stage, first generation entrepreneurs, advising, mentoring them. In the last 27 years, the world has certainly changed. The year I started working, the Berlin Wall was still there. There was still the Soviet Union. None of those things exist anymore except fragments. Online started happening in the mid-90s. Franchising had already started happening. The first job that I had was, at that time, the largest retail network, which essentially, except for one store, all the other stores, or two stores, all the other stores were essentially franchise stores. Some of them were company operated as well, but many of them were actually franchise operated.
Sorry to cut you off. We have Mr. Vishwas who's joining.
Okay, great. So we've got another speaker here. And in the mid-90s, while business didn't go online, we started emailing each other, and the World Wide Web actually became active. And I remember the first time I was hyperlinked to certain sites where I was looking for information. It was really a wondrous experience. Today we take it for granted. You pull out this device from your pocket and you just kind of tap a few keys and you've got the information literally at your fingertips. And the world really has changed in the last 20 years. The first purchase I made on Amazon was in 1998, 97 or 98, I don't remember. And it was, it was an interesting experience because I had a little problem with the payment or with the order, the delivery which had come. And the refund and the whole service experience was really delightful. Even more pain-free at that time than offline retail in the UK would be, which was relatively easy anyway. And the whole process was run out of India. So I was sitting in the UK and I was shopping for books, and there was this problem with the order, and the back end was actually somebody based in India and handling it. And obviously, I mean, we take all of these things for granted. But these were, if you keep your eyes open, there are early signs. And if you want to actually modify, modulate, change tracks, your business, there's nothing like listening to other people who are doing things differently from you or different things than what you're doing. So we have now 4 people who are coming from very different areas. And what I'd like to do is, given that we are also short on time in terms of the schedule, we'll allow each speaker maybe 7 to 10 minutes to speak about their business, talk about how they conceived of the idea of the brand, of the business, and what they've done with that, and how the journey has been, how they have changed, how the world around them has changed. Let's hear their perspective, and then we can have a little bit of interaction if there's time after that, right? So let's start with Vishwas. Vishwas runs a brand which is fairly nascent, but it's got well established already. I'll let him tell his story.
Sure. Hi, my name is Vishwas Shringi, and I'm a founder CEO of a fashion jewelry brand by the name Voila, VOYLLA. Well, the journey is now 5 years old, and we started primarily online. The idea was to first understand what would be the right mode of selling fashion jewelry. Why fashion jewelry? When I moved back from the US, my background is also from e-commerce. I ran a fourth of North America P&L for Amazon.com, around 8 product lines. So when I moved back, fashion jewelry caught my eye because it was a category that was growing at a 25% CAGR year over year. Our younger generation supported the growth of this category further. We are the youngest. If you see, a good 35% of the population is less than 25 years old, is what supports this category even further. And with that, the idea was to basically dig into this category. When we did further research, realized that it was soon to be $2 billion market, but there wasn't any player with even a % of 2 market segment share. So clearly we saw that there is an opportunity. It's a very fragmented, very unorganized market. Thousands and thousands of small like manufacturers who operate out of different zones in India. The category was largely done through commercial street, was not part of modern trade. A few players had tried to do it, but still the opportunity existed. So I think the first problem was to solve how do we consolidate the unorganized segment and make it organized. The second was also, given that India actually has variety of art forms across India. There are, products that are very popular in North and there are products popular in South, but there wasn't a unified platform. So obviously online made sense. We started online back in 2012. And from there, the journey started. In 2 years, we went to other marketplaces. Amazon came to India. So we partnered with Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra. And soon we realized that as we were growing online, there were 2 big challenges that we faced. One was logistic. The second was the customer acquisition cost. Given the large, e-commerce player in the market, it was becoming very difficult for a vertical to, exist, given how much money was poured into acquired customers. And, for us to basically get customers' attention, it was very expensive. The second was logistic. I mean, a customer. Now, I think Bollywood and media has done fantastic job of creating inspiration, even in tier 2, tier 3 town. And real estate more or less has made a lot of people rich. So people have aspiration. They want to spend money, but they did not have access to this product. Logistic could not do its job. So the next step was, if we really need to grow fast and we need to, have a good market segment share, then offline would be the journey that we would take. So with that idea, we started the first store in December 2015. And since then, we have not stopped. As he rightly said, yes, we are at a nascent stage, but crawling fast. Today, we have 250 retail locations across India. And starting from Jammu all the way down to near Kanyakumari. And in east, we are in Jorhat, Dibrugarh in Assam to, Jamnagar in Gujarat. So pretty much have covered the length and breadth, but still looking at, the opportunities that are there in tier 2, tier 3 towns, where logistic is still a challenge. This seems like a journey which will keep us busy for next couple of years. And here we are. That's about us. Thank you.
So, Vishwas, what's the split between online and offline for you in terms of business right now?
Now, given the number of nodes that I mentioned, it's an equal split at this point. So we are, pretty much 50-50.
And is that because online is struggling or to fight discounts, or is it because offline is more natural for the product that you're doing?
Yeah, no, as you rightly said, offline is, of course, a discount-driven market, although we are not, discounting as much, but there are options available, right? I mean, people can go to other marketplaces and find products there. But why it is 50-50, even though online has been around, for a longer period, even for us, is, one thing that we were clear about is to build a business in a sustainable way. We did not want to just keep on, fueling growth and not looking at the bottom line. So one thing that we were clear about is, the growth can come from offline expansion. Let online be a profitable business. And today we are, profitable in online. And that is the reason I would say that we are balancing the growth versus profitability. Why you see 50-50 ratio.
Great. Let's move on to Puneet. Puneet Chawla is the co-founder and CEO of Jaipur. How many of you have heard of Jaipur as a website? A few people around the room. So Puneet, you need to do a lot of solid marketing today.
They're mostly men. So hi, my name is Puneet. I run this online lifestyle brand called Jaipur. We do handcrafted, mostly products that come from the craft space. Typically, the categories we deal in are apparel. We do a lot of jewelry, primarily silver jewelry and a bit of precious jewelry. We also do a lot of home decor, art. The USP of our product is that most of the product is rooted in craft. We source this product from all across the country, everywhere from the Kashmir and the northern part of the country for things like shawls and pashmina, right down to the southern part of the country where we get the kanjivarams, etc. from. We've been around for about 5 years. I started working on the concept along with my co-founder in early 2012. And it's been about 5 years of being operational. And, at this point we're online only, but we're also looking to expand offline. And the primary reason for that, as the gentleman here also said, is that I think the cost of acquiring customers online today for smaller players has become prohibitive. Unlike larger players like Amazon and Flipkart and the likes, where they have deep pockets and acquiring customers, spending a lot of money to acquire customers doesn't really bother them, because for them it's more about market share. I think smaller guys like us want to concentrate more on unit economics, making the business profitable. So every rupee that you spend on acquiring new customers, you tend to keep a very close eye on whether it's giving you the ROI. And the fact is that acquiring customers online doesn't really make sense. The cost is prohibitively expensive. It's very, very high, and customer loyalty with e-commerce website in this country is still very low. People don't tend to look at online websites as brands as much as they do when you've got a bunch of stores. Though we enjoy very, very high customer loyalty, and that's necessarily, I think, because of the niche that we're catering to and the high quality and the premium product that we deal in. But having that said, just to pick up on the point that the gentleman here mentioned, that we're also looking to explore offline. We've over the last 3 months we've done 3 exhibitions. We've started a new format. We call it the Jaipur Open House, and we've done 3 exhibitions across Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore, and got a very, very good response. So I think the combination of being online and our ability to attract audiences and get footfalls into a physical space, combined with the lesser pressure that a physical space has to give discounts, and what we've also seen is that the average order value in the offline space tends to be higher. I think once people are in a space and they look at product, they touch and feel it, they tend to spend more compared to when they're just going through product on the screen. So yeah, that's where we are. In terms of our journey, it's entrepreneurship is always bittersweet. It takes you through the highest highs and the lowest lows. I've been doing this for about 5.5 years now. We were fortunate to raise money pretty much on day one from an angel investor. and after about 2.5-3 years of bootstrapping and making that money last, we raised about 3 crores on day one, and we were able to make it last for about 3 years. We raised an institutional round from an investor called Avishkar. This happened last year, late 2016, early 2016 actually. And since then we've raised about 50 crores, and we're expanding. We're obviously expanding our online business also. But yeah, offline is something that is probably at this point seems to be the next sort of phase of growth for us.
Puneet, for somebody who spent his entire working life in the online sector in India, for you to step into the offline space, what are the key expectations that you have from your offline retail stores?
So for me personally, for me, the offline stores or any offline touch point, whether it's in the form of a store or in the form of some sort of an exhibition or a shop in shop, is more of an acquisition tool for me. It gives your opportunity, if it gives your product to an opportunity to be there in 3 dimension and activate or engage, more than one sort of sense of a potential customer. When you're shopping online, it's only the sense of sight that is being engaged. But when in the offline space, you touch and feel a product, you try it on, with our kind of product, right? Especially when we talk of things like, vintage product, even the way the product smells makes a difference. When you're buying if you're buying authentic pashmina shawl, a lot of people would want to smell what the, shawl smells like. So I think the offline space my expectation is it'll help us convince those customers who are sitting on the fence, who may otherwise not be very sure of buying this product online. Because what you got to know is that unlike the larger players, where it's mostly about price, we're not in the price game at all. If anything, we're probably, in our segment, probably the most expensive in the market, even amongst the offline players. And that's because the quality of our products is right up there. And I think it's still very, very early days when it comes to e-commerce in India. And for people to spend that kind of money for an online brand where they're not being able to touch and feel the product, not being able to try it on, they don't know whether the size will fit or not, how will it look, will it fall properly on me or not, is the jewelry authentic or not. To shell out that kind of money is an uphill task. We've been able to sell some expensive product, like we've sold pashmina shawls upwards of 2 lakhs online. We've sold MFSN serigraphs for 1.5 lakh online. But those are exceptions, obviously. Most people who will buy a expensive pashmina shawl would want to try it on. So for me, I'm looking at the offline spaces to be more of a customer acquisition tool, where along with making the offline business sustainable, you would also devise ways of moving these customers online. That, okay, now that you've come in, you've seen our store, you've seen our product, you're convinced with the quality, and you've made your first purchase here, come back for subsequent purchases online. Because, I don't think we're going to ever end up opening 100 stores. That's not the segment we're in. So for people, let's say, sitting in a Kochi or in a Guwahati, most likely we're not going to have a store there. I still need those customers to come online and shop online.
Great. The interesting kind of counterpoint I see is between Vishwas and you is that both of you have been in the business for about the same time, and clearly, Vishwas, you decided to move offline earlier and much more aggressively in the last couple of years. And you've got to a stage where the business is evenly split online and offline. Do you think you might have some unanticipated developments along the way as you look at opening your first store? Because your product is really experiential, actually.
That's true, but I think it also depends on the format of stores you're looking at. If you ask me today, the format that we've thought of for the stores is basically a large format store. We're not looking at, let's say, a 500 or a 700 square foot store. Stores for us would probably be nothing short of 1,500 to 2,000. Because, as you rightly said, it is experiential product. To be able to give the right experience for that product, you cannot do justice with a small space. So you need to have, a bit of room, the right sort of F&F, and all that is going to be expensive. So whether you can replicate that across 100 stores in the country, so that online and offline sort of come at par, I don't know. It remains to be seen. From where I stand today, I feel that as long as these stores can give you that wow experience, and if you're sitting on the fence, help you sort of make that leap of faith for that first transaction to happen offline, and then it's up to us. It's for our marketing, sort of teams to see how we can take this customer and then incentivize and sort of encourage them to take that leap of faith to come online. That now you've experienced our product, you know what the quality is like, you see that there are real people running this business, and it's not just a virtual thing only. Come online and shop, because the fact is that the kind of efficiencies that online has, offline will always struggle to meet. There is a reason why e-commerce came up in the first place. Otherwise, we wouldn't have e-commerce. I mean, everybody would just be opening stores and selling products from the store. The reason why e-commerce exists is because you can put all your merchandise in a warehouse in the back of Beyond, which costs you maybe 10-15 bucks a square foot, and not necessarily showcase your product in a store in a M block that costs you maybe 300-400 bucks a square foot. So as you scale up, the efficiencies that online gives you cannot be matched by offline. So I don't want to stick my neck out and say that for our kind of product tomorrow we could have a 50-50 between online and offline. But I mean, we're personally very excited about offline, and I think it's going to become a very important part of our business. In terms of revenue, as a percentage share, it may not be as big as 50%, but I think in terms of driving customers to online, and then the strategic importance that these offline stores may play for our business going forward, I'm personally very excited.
Kapil, let me point to you now. You've had a business which is double the age of both these gentlemen who spoke earlier, and you're primarily still in the offline space. Primarily, you are online as well. How do you see the world changing around you in the last 10 years, and how has your business moved in those 10 years?
So basically, we are here because of change. The reason we started off is we walked around stores 10 years back trying to find a pair of shoes. The experience was pathetic, it was lousy. You walk in there's no one there to greet you, the staff is dressed shabbily, stores are stinking because that's what the shoes stunk of. And we were like, no, something needs to change out here, this is not right. There are a lot of people who need shoes, everyone needs shoes. And they don't have the opportunity to buy good shoes, and they don't even have the right service. When you spend money, you expect a certain level of service because it's your money. So that's when we started off thinking that it's time to, change. Change was not as radical as them, that they changed the entire way people buy from offline to online. But we said, let's change the offline experience. And, we set out to set up stores. Initially, we said we'll set up shoe stores and become shoe retailers. And along the line, we realized that being a retailer, it's getting to the end of the road. You just realize that all of a sudden you started doing something, 2 years down, you started learning it. And all these e-com guys are coming up there and competing. And, for some reason, it's not competitive anymore because people are comparing prices. The largest set of people are just comparing prices. They're not rewarding experience, quality, the whole ambience. And then we said, okay, if we're going to be retailers, we're going to end soon. It's not going to be a long way from here. And then we started looking at ourselves as a brand. And we said, okay, we're not retailers anymore, we're a brand. And we set out to define a personality. And we said we'll be part of any commerce where there is a consumer willing to buy a shoe. So whether it's offline or whether it's online. And then we said, now we've got a set of stores. Let's go and reach out to all other points of commerce where consumers buy. So we reached out to large format stores like your department stores, your Shoppers Stop, Central, Lifestyle. We set up shop and shops in there. Again, there's a lot of scope for improvement because again, new formats, new consumers, new spaces, a new experience, which is the more important thing because, offline was slowing down, but the experience was very important, and we started realizing by giving a better product, giving a better experience, although competitors were degrowing year on year, we yet managed to keep growing. And in a very short span of time, we realized we were beating competition left, right, and center. And in a lot of places, we were doing 2 times the number of competition. And that's when you realize it's the experience, it's the change which is important. You know, if you want to sell offline, you're competing with convenience, right? Online is all about the convenience. You don't have to move from home. You just click a few buttons, and the online guys are very quick to even say that, okay, within 3 steps, 3 buttons you check out. How do you compete with that? You can't compete with that in convenience, right? So then we said it's got to be experience, and people reward it. People love it. You know, in India, a large part of the people actually consider shopping to be an experience. They consider shopping to be a stress buster. They consider shopping to be, you know, how they spend a day. And if you would pick up from these parts, as you know, where people would reward you, there's a lot on the offline space. It's just that you just need to be focused to ensure that you play on the areas where the USP of offline shopping is. We had to join the online bandwagon because it was growing too fast. We started selling through our own website. We started selling through the online retailers, the Jabong, Myntra, and the fashion-related retailers, because that's where the space. We tried the Amazon, we tried the Flipkart, but volume were too low because we were very premium, and people didn't really want to pay a premium price for online shopping. You know, if there was something available at a great price, wow, there are a lot of takers. But if something with great product at a premium price, there are pretty much no takers. Like Puneet did mention, you do sell that 1.5, 2 lakh rupees product online, but it's only a one-off situation. So we do sell 20,000 rupees shoes, but that's once in a blue moon, and you can't base a business model around that. So we said, okay, we're stepping into the online space because we're a brand now, and we have to retail at all parts or all lines of commerce where people are buying. And there we are today, from a retailer to a brand present across offline, online, and whatever may evolve in the future. So that's technically what we do. We try to make the experience offline very pleasant. We make it delightful that the person, when they walk out, they feel good about spending the money rather than going home and feeling, oh my God, was that really a purchase I wanted to? It's that, you know, when they walk home, buying something offline, they feel a lot better when they go home, and the relation technically starts there, because we sell shoes, we sell something which a person is going to be living in, their feet are going to be living in for the next couple of months or years, and if they're comfortable in them, the experience just gets better and better, and the relationship, the consumer becomes a sticky consumer, and you want the consumer for life, and then, you know, they'll keep coming back to you online or offline. It's a mix. We find offline guys coming online, online guys coming offline. One thing we see is that they're buying, you know, a very basic shoe, they're happy to buy it online. But if they're buying something which is something very premium, something which is very occasional, then they definitely, the same consumer who's probably doing 70% of the business online is coming back offline to buy that premium product, because he wants the touch, feel, he wants to see how it looks. He feels happy trying it on, or he or she, when they try it on. The women especially, they like to try it on, because when you're talking about heels, they need to know how comfortable they're going to be. And of course, online you can't see that, right? You're just going to see visually, your sense of vision sees that it may tick buy or no buy, but the comfort angle you can't gauge. So women are, you know, when they're moving into heels, when they're moving into fancy footwear, are definitely going offline and buying it. Well, what we see of late, and it's becoming a big challenge, is people really want to go offline, try the product, and come back online and compare the price. And so right now we're trying to ensure that across all channels, there's consistency in the price, and there's no way they could buy something online cheaper than what they'd find offline. So, you know, across all channels, we don't want any channel conflict happening. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great. Thanks. Arnab, as a techie and probably the one with the youngest business on the panel, you have probably the most old world business, except that in a new version. So would you like to share about that?
So I'm the founder of a company called uClean, and at uClean we are basically in the business of offering integrated cleaning services from under one roof. We are about 12 months old now. Started the brand in October last year, and we are a pure play franchising company.
strong believer in offline first, online second model. In the last 12 months, we have managed to grow pretty quickly and have 55 franchisees already on board who are spread across the top 12 tier 1 cities of the country. The idea behind creating uClean actually stemmed from two different reasons. Prior to starting uClean, I was the CEO of a company called Tribo Hotels. And Tribo basically operates in the budget space category, wherein we work with existing budget hotels that might not be doing well for a variety of reasons. Tribo partners with them, converts them into a Tribo hotel, and thereafter we take care of all the marketing and sales. And it is expected from the budget hotel owner that he would focus his energies on offering quality. If you go to a hotel rating website like a TripAdvisor, you would see that the biggest reason for customer escalation is typically bad linen or bad bath towel. And the challenge comes from the fact that most of the budget hoteliers, almost all of them, do not have the financial appetite or would not have a spare space within their hotel to set up a laundry. The laundry is almost always outsourced to a local mom and pop operator, or what you would traditionally call a dhobi, who would be living right next to the hotel. He would be not investing in a good quality machine. He would not be investing in good quality chemicals. So the quality of the linen that is being washed or the quality of towels that are being washed would always be very poor. So as a hotel operator, we would always grapple with, we would always fight with the budget hotel guy who's actually owning and running the hotel to improve the quality standards. Eventually, they would come back to us and tell us, why don't you guys recommend us someone who can provide quality of standard which is equivalent to what you guys are looking at. In India, if you look at it, we have close to 2 million budget hotels that are out there, and none of these budget hotels have a single dedicated laundry facility. So that's the kind of massive opportunity that I was initially looking at, and uClean was born out of this opportunity. But gradually, as we started rolling out our franchise stores, what we realized was that there's a big retail segment that is also out there. A lot of people don't want to wash their clothes at home. And this includes people who might already have a maid at home, who would have a washing machine at home, but the entire chore of doing your laundry is very tedious. So as a result of that, if I look at my business today, we have about 70% of the business that is actually B2C and only 30% of the business that is B2B, which also helps me economically in the longer run, because the margins in B2C are much better than B2B. So the way this business started building up and the way the B2C component came into picture, it also made us realize that we could very quickly scale up this business through the franchising model. This model is what I would call an idiot-proof model, because the entire work is done by the machines. It is these laundromats which are installed at the stores that are taking care of all the washing responsibilities that a store would have. And these laundromats are very, very capable, very, very smart, intelligent devices. All you need to do is you put the clothes inside the machines, and the machines take care of the clothes thereafter. So as a result of the entire fact that the model was very easily, the model is an idiot-proof model, it made the model very easily scalable. So we started rolling out stores very quickly, cities after cities, franchises after franchisees, and we focused on building the offline component. We focused on marketing very aggressively, reaching out through all BTL mediums, reaching out to potential customers and convincing them to use our services. So even on today's date, we don't have an app in place. We would be launching an app next month, but the business has been growing steadily on a month-on-month basis. We have been seeing a 20% growth across all our stores, across all our cities. So in that sense, we have been able to tap the market. We have been able to understand the offline market very well. And this is the kind of market that we feel would work better for an industry like ours, where the decision making is still done by the most senior woman of the family, who typically does not want to use an app. So as a company, we decided to take a route which a lot of other players in this industry have not taken. So we have had a lot of online aggregators that have come up in the industry in the last 10 years. A lot of collection center models have also come up in the last 10 years, which are predominantly doing their business online. And most of them have actually shut down shops in the last 5 years. So we understood the challenges. We're still trying to understand the challenge, but we feel that this is the kind of business where offline business has to be really ramped up. Offline is the kind of business that we really need to focus on, and online business would always be complementing the offline business, but would never be able to overtake the offline business that exists.
I think with no real slowdown in the number of people being born and the clothes and the nappies to be washed, I think you have a long way ahead of you for growth until we hit a point where self-cleaning clothes are mainstream.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to all the speakers. We are really running short of time, but I think in all fairness, we should allow at least 2 questions from the audience. If there are any, if there are none, we'll be very happy and
Yeah, so we
say
have
thank you.
questions, that's fine, so we could do
There are questions?
Hi, I'm Ashish Malik. We have a small ethnic an offline ethnic brand for the masses, ethnic wear for women, like Puneet. And I could really resonate with Kapil here because I see you as a person who had a mentality of going from online, who's seen the offline space and then wanted to go online, right? I wanted to ask you a question. The challenge that we are facing at the moment is that I have multiple retail outlets in Delhi and other places. I wanted the pickups for the online portion to happen from the stores itself rather than from one single location. But when I contacted the bigger multi-players, I mean like Jabong and Myntra and other players, they want a single place of pickup for, I believe, their functionalities. I believe all of you can please guide us to that. Should any entrepreneur here who's venturing into an online space, who's already present in the offline world, want to have a single point of pickup from a location?
So basically what you're talking about, omnichannel, right?
Right.
So in omnichannel, you got to figure out if it's your website, you can have an integrated system from your stores to your website, and that will become an omnichannel cycle, right? There you can have any flexibility. So you can say you can shop online, you can return offline, you can pick up offline, you can return online. So that whole flexibility remains in your chain. When you work with Jabong and Myntra, the problem is they have to configure one pickup address as a warehouse address. So if you believe the volume of business is large enough, you can create one store as a semi-warehouse,
Right,
and keep them pick up and drop or whatever from that store. Whereas for the others, you can have it flexible if it's on your website. I believe Tata Click allows you to link each store individually. So there you get the individuality. You can have one store where they can pick up from that store. So you don't keep a centralized merchandise base. Your merchandise across the stores, they upload the inventory of each location. So they allow that flexibility of pickup from that specific location. And I'm sure there are other online guys also who would allow it. But I know Tata Click does it that way. Jabong, Myntra don't do it that way.
No, one of the most successful examples of offline-online combinations was when Tesco launched their Tesco.com. They assigned the local grocery store depending on your postcode. And you could go online, order, and essentially the product would be delivered from that store. So they're not cannibalizing the store either, the online business. In India, I think one is, of course, making it efficient, making it cost-effective. And second is from the regulatory point of view, with GST and all of those stuff, what happens if somebody picks up, somebody who's based in Delhi picks up something in a store in Mumbai. You're based in Delhi, but let's say somebody who's outside of a certain jurisdiction, and then how do the returns take place and so on and so forth. So I think those are more kind of nitty-gritty issues which need to be get onto. But as he said, I think if you have control over the entire process, then you can design it the way you want. If you are plugging into a Myntra or a Jabong, then clearly you need to fall in line.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else? There's one question.
So we'll have to come to that.
Just use a mic.
So hi, I'm Darpan this side, Darpan Majumdar. I am from a digital media agency. I handle sales of Liquid Asia. My question is to you, Vishwash, is that in a category which is a per unit cost is very high, I'm very interested that how did you build up the 50% of the business on online, considering he mentioned like it's a customer acquisition cost is very high. So what has been some of the strategies which you have adopted to acquire consumer, and are you doing some other activities like building communities and XYZ?
Yeah. See, fundamentally, for us, the price points are very low. Fashion jewelry, unlike precious jewelry, has a average price point of like 1,000 rupees. And, early on, like a couple of years ago, the acquisition cost of, acquiring a customer online would be around 1,500 to 1,800. So the only way that model would work is by calculating the lifetime value of a customer. Now let's face it, there is no loyalty online today, right? If I have a product at price X, there are marketplaces with, pocket full of cash. They will put it in a way that I will be out of business soon. So what we were very clear about was that, we have to acquire customers through our own digital network. And if you start, so there were two options at that point, right? One is you can outsource the digital marketing. There were champions out there who would actually tell you that we can do it. Now what happened is when you start to give them a target, it becomes a difficult task because there are two ways of doing marketing. There is a push marketing and a pull marketing, right? And yeah, pull marketing doesn't work. There aren't as many people who actually go to Google because of the way the market was set up. There was more of a push marketing. Facebook had been a dominating player in acquiring customer. Because a lot of people had money, they were like unnecessarily, okay, buy from me. It's like, how the softy wallas are like all shouting, come inside. So in that case, the only thing that, we could control is go more targeted and manage the entire digital marketing in-house. Now that we knew exactly what is, the acquisition cost that we can afford, we would actually target customer in the age group, and Facebook actually started to opening more and more of their apps and servers to be able to access that information. Then you have to become more and more intelligent. A simple example is, if I see you as a customer who has bought my product, all I need to know is who are your friends, and if I can access your community, then the probability of selling to that community is higher because there is some likelihood in the taste of it. The second thing is, if you bought a product which is, let's say a chain which is a Sachin Tendulkar chain, right? And your active interest is in cricket. Now I need to align all the people who actually have interest in cricket so I can further slice and dice data. And that is what we did effectively in-house. And that allowed us to bring the acquisition cost down to a level where we could actually see that our contribution profits are higher than the acquisition cost.
Thank you so much. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Round of applause for them.
And manage the entire digital marketing in-house. Now that we knew exactly what is the acquisition cost that we can afford, we would actually target customer in the age group, and Facebook actually started to opening more and more of their apps and servers to be able to access that information. Then you have to become more and more intelligent. A simple example is, if I see you as a customer who has bought my product, all I need to know is who are your friends, and if I can access your community, then the probability of selling to that community is higher because there is some likelihood in the taste of it. The second thing is, if you bought a product which is let's say a chain which is a Sachin Tendulkar chain, right? And your active interest is in cricket. Now I need to align all the people who actually have interest in cricket so I can further slice and dice data. And that is what we did effectively in-house. And that allowed us to bring the acquisition cost down to a level where we could actually see that our contribution profits are higher than the acquisition cost.
Thank you so much. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Round of applause for them.